Welcome to another math video. Today we'll talk about the quadratic formula. So when talking about the quadratic formula, we will start with the standard form of a quadratic expression, which is ax squared plus bx plus c. So now if y is equal to 0, the question is, what is x? And that's what you will need the quadratic formula for. So basically it's the same as finding your x-intercepts on a graph. Alright, so in the first case, which is the factored form, for example x minus 4 times x plus 2 is equal to 0, you don't actually need the quadratic formula. Here you can just read it off, where the x-intercepts are. So when is this expression equal to 0? Well, when x is equal to 4, or when x is equal to negative 2. So our first solution, x1 is equal to 4, and our x2 is equal to negative 2. And that's all you have to do in this case. Okay, so now our second kind of problem will be in the standard form. So if you can factor a standard form into two factors, like in the first case, it's easy to read it off. But here, in this case, it's pretty much impossible to find two factors that together multiplied equal to negative 9 and added together equal to positive 4. So we'll use the method 1 for the standard form, which is completing the square. So in this example, our middle term is 4x. So our y will be 2. So x plus 2 all squared. Now we just have to find the missing factor here at the end, so that we can equal it to the standard form there. So let's write it out. X squared plus 4x plus 4. Now subtract the 4 again, and subtract 9. This first part is equal to our perfect square, and this will be our factor at the end, just negative 13. That has to equal to 0. So now in order to solve for x, we just add 13 on both sides. We'll be left with x plus 2 all squared equals to 13. Now take the square root of both sides. So x plus 2 is equal to, and now in this one here you have to be careful, because if you take the square root, our answer can be positive or negative. Square root of 13. So our x is equal to negative 2 plus minus square root of 13, and you can rewrite it by naming both solutions. Our x1 is equal to negative 2 plus square root of 13, and our x2 is equal to negative 2 minus square root of 13. And those are the two solutions to our x-intercepts. Alright, now to the method 2. That will be our quadratic formula. So before we get there, let's first find out what the quadratic formula is and how we can get there. So we'll start with our standard form, ax squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0. And first factor out the a. So we have a parentheses x squared plus b over a times x, and the c will just stay at the end as equal to 0. In the next step, now we will try to complete the square. So our middle term, b over 2x, will be equal to 2xy. So 2xy equal to b over ax. So our y is equal to b over 2a. That means a is equal to x squared plus b over ax. And here comes our y squared now, plus b over 2a all squared. Now, of course, we have to subtract this again in order not to change our expression. And at the end, plus c is equal to 0. Okay, in our next step, we'll now try to take this expression here, this term out of the parentheses, and multiply it by a. So we'll be left with a times x squared plus b over ax, plus, now just square this term, b squared over 4a squared, and then minus b squared over 4a squared, and times it by a, because we took it out of the parentheses, plus c equals to 0. Okay, so now we can rewrite this expression here as our perfect square, which is just x, and then our y is b over 2a plus b over 2a all squared. Now simplify the a squared here. So minus b squared over 4a, and then c we can rewrite as c. Let's write it as 4a times c over 4a, which is still equal to c, but it will be easier to simplify this in the next step. Alright, so now we'll just write this as one fraction, which is equal to minus b squared minus 4ac all over 4a. Now we have here the negative at the top because there's a minus in front. So if we multiply the minus with this whole expression on the top, we'll be left with negative b squared plus 4ac, which is what we have here. And that's still equal to 0. Okay, so in the next step, we will just take this over to the other side and have an expression left, which is a to the x plus b over 2a squared is equal to b squared minus 4ac divided by 4a. And now this looks maybe a little bit complicated for you, but in reality, if we do this with numbers, because every letter just stands for a number, so say we have x plus 1 is squared equal to 25, that could represent here our both our sides. So if we just divide both sides by a now, we'll be left with this expression. On the right side, b squared minus 4ac over 4a squared. So that would be the same as this kind of expression. And then if you were to solve it, you would just take the square root of both sides and have positive or negative square root of 25. So then our x is equal to negative 1 plus minus square root of 25 is 5. So that's the same that we will do here now, just with letters instead, or variables instead of numbers. So now we'll take the square root on both sides. We'll be left with x plus b over 2a is equal to, now again, positive or negative, and the square root of b squared minus 4ac divided by 4a squared. So as you might know, if you take the square root of an expression, you can also take the square root of the numerator and denominator separately. That's what we'll do in the next step. Squared minus 4ac divided by, and now square root of, and 4a squared is the same as 2a all squared. So, and the square root of 2a all squared is just 2a. Okay. Now on both sides we can subtract b over 2a to be left with x. So now x is equal to negative b over 2a plus minus square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a, and as you notice both have the 2a here, so we can combine it to one expression, one fraction. So x is equal to negative b plus minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all divided by 2a. And this is our quadratic formula. That's the end result. So of course you don't have to know exactly how to get there. It's just for you to understand where the formula is coming from. And from now on you can just memorize this formula and apply it to your question. And just plug in your numbers. So if we use now this formula as our method 2 for that question, x squared plus 4x minus 9 equals to 0, we should get the same result. So our method 2 is the quadratic formula. Okay, so if we have x squared plus 4x minus 9 equals to 0, now the a is 1, there's no factor in front. Our b is equal to 4 right here. And our c is equal to negative 9. Okay. Now just plug it into the equation. So our x is equal to negative b, so negative 4, plus minus square root of b squared, so 4 squared, minus 4 times 1, which is a, times negative 9, which is our c. And then divide this all by 2a, so 2 times 1. Okay, now to simplify our expression, which is negative 4 plus minus the square root of 16, and then minus 4 times 1 is minus 4. Minus 4 times minus 9 is equal to 36. So plus 36. And that's square root of 52. And then divided by 2. Okay, now we can simplify the square root of 52. Square root of 52 is actually the same as square root of 4 times 13, which is square root of 4 times square root of 13. And the square root of 4 is just 2. So that's 2 times square root of 13. So now we can rewrite this as 2 square root of 13 all over 2. So now just simplify this expression by factoring out the 2. X is equal to negative 2 plus minus square root of 13. And if we rewrite it, our x1 is negative 2 plus square root of 13. And our x2 is equal to negative 2 minus square root of 13. And as you notice now, the solutions are exactly the same as with our method 1, completing the square. Because the quadratic formula does exactly that, it completes the square, but you don't actually have to go through the step of physically completing the square. All you have to do is plug in your coefficients, the a, b, and c, into the quadratic formula. Alright, let's just do one more example of using the quadratic formula. So let's have a third question. Just solve 2x squared minus 5x plus 3. If you want, you can just pause this video right here and try it for yourself, and after check back for the solution. So our a is equal to 2, our b is equal to negative 5, and our c is equal to 3. Okay, I will write down the quadratic formula for you again, because now it's not visible on the screen anymore. B squared minus 4ac, all divided by 2a. Okay, so now we'll just plug in our values. Our x is equal to minus negative 5 plus minus square root of negative 5, and now this is in parentheses, all squared. So don't write negative 5 squared, because that would be negative 25. Instead, the negative 5 will be parentheses squared equal to 25. Well, that's very important. Okay. And then minus 4 times a is 2 times 3 for c. And then everything divided by 2 times 2 for a. Let's simplify this. Minus times minus is plus, so we have 5, and plus minus square root of 25 minus 4 times 2 is 8, 8 times 3 is 24, and this is the same as square root of 1. And then divided by 4. So our x is equal to 5 plus minus square root of 1 is equal to 1, divided by 4. And if we write down our two solutions, x1 is equal to 5 plus 1 over 4. It's equal to 6 over 4. It's equal to 3 halves. And our x2 is equal to 5 minus 1 over 4, which is 4 over 4, and that's equal to 1. So our x-intercept, basically our x1 is 3 halves, 0, and 1, 0. Alright, that's it for this video. In the next video we'll talk about the discriminant, which is this part here, b squared minus 4ac, and how you can use the discriminant to determine if your quadratic expression will have one solution, two solutions, like here we had two solutions, or no solution at all. See you soon.